That was hands down one of the most brutal movies I have ever seen. What's up, YouTube? This is your friendly neighborhood movie nerd, back to give you guys everything that is going on in the world of movies. And today I am reviewing quite possibly the best movie that I've seen just this year in general and in a while. It's Logan. Going in, I knew this movie was going to be great, but I never thought that it could possibly be as great as it was. This movie was fantastic. So let me just dive right in and explain to you guys just how fantastic Logan was.
You still have time.
So in this final installment in the franchise, Hugh Jackman is back once again as Logan, aka the Wolverine, but he is not necessarily the youthful, vibrant figure he was in his earlier films. He is clearly aged, but it's even more so than that. He's covered in scars, his claws are visibly hurting him, he's non-stop drinking, he's coughing all the time, and he's not healthy. He's caring for an aging Professor X south of the border, and the poor old man is now afflicted with Alzheimer's and can no longer control his powers. He spends his days driving a cab in order to make some cash, and nights caring for the Professor with the help of the mutant tracker Caliban, this time played by the Office co-creator Stephen Merchant, in an alternate 2029 in which a mutant baby has not been born in the last 25 years. All of that changes, however, when a young girl, Laura Kinney, who has powers that are remarkably similar to his, finds her way to his doorstep, and Logan finds himself on one last ride to get this girl to safety from the Reavers hunting her, led by Boyd Holbrook's character, Donald Pierce. That was probably as descriptive I could get without delving into spoilers, but man, was this movie incredible. Gory and violent, but really, really something special. And before I get into any of the critiques that I have, I just gotta take my hat off to James Mangold for making easily the best comic book movie we've gotten since The Dark Knight. And it's a stretch to call this movie a comic book movie at most, because it did not feel like one. This felt like an independent neo-western super dark tale of revenge, redemption, and pain, and family, and it was enthralling every step of the way. Performances were, of course, incredible. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart are easily the best they've been yet with their portrayals of Wolverine and Professor X, characters that they've been playing for 17 years now. They are both fantastic, and it comes from the fact that they are both at the lowest for the characters as so far that we've seen them. Wolverine is on the brink of losing his healing abilities, but he just doesn't care about anything anymore, and Professor X is a shell of his former self. And he's struggling to maintain his grip on reality, and he's casually having seizures where everyone just is afflicted with his psychic abilities. Basically, now, whenever he uses his powers, he sometimes loses control, and everyone around him is trapped in this like psychic vortex where they just can't move, and it's wickedly... It's incredible. Also, Daphne Keene's breakout performance as X-23 is surprisingly great, considering that she doesn't talk for the first 2/3 of this movie. But then when she finally does start speaking, it threw me for a loop, but in the end, I really ended up loving her character entirely, because when she threw down, man, did she throw down. She went toe-to-toe with Wolverine in terms of his berserker side whenever her claws popped out. I also really enjoyed Boyd Holbrook's portrayal of Donald Pierce. I said going in that he was probably going to be one of the best parts about this movie, and lo and behold, I was right. He brought a real charm and nuance to a character that otherwise was pretty underdeveloped, so that managed to keep me invested in him the entire time. Also, really loved Stephen Merchant's portrayal of Caliban, and I didn't mind Richard E. Grant as Dr. Xander Rice, even though he was vastly underused. The sort of explanation behind his character was a little coy, but for the most part, they were both really well used, and they both fit very well into this movie. But the thing that stood out the most to me about this movie was simply the sheer volume it went to when it brought the action. This was violence unlike I have ever seen in a superhero movie before. I mean, Deadpool was violent, but it was a comedic violence, so every time you saw somebody get their heads cut off or somebody get stabbed, it was always undercut by a joke, and it wouldn't have stuck as much. This, on the other hand, literally had scenes where people got their throats ripped out, various limbs and body parts pierced with large, sharp objects, and just straight up, like, I'm pretty sure 3 people got their heads, like, cut off in this movie. It was a really violent movie, but yet somehow, despite being as gory as it was, it managed to make all the violence necessary for the story, and it really ended up being a touching, beautiful road movie as Logan bonds with this girl, who ultimately ends up being the closest thing he has left to a family. A beautiful send-off to one of the most popular comic book characters brought to life in the last 20 years, and an extremely grounded and sophisticated film that is not afraid to get down and dirty when it needs to. It's also a massive leap forward in a genre that is really struggling not to become formulaic, so that is why Logan gets 10 out of 10 stars for me. I am so glad that I managed to give this movie 10 out of 10. Also, it throws you a loop for the post-credit scene, because like it takes that whole mindset concerning the post-credit scene and throws it for a loop. And I was looking at the movies going forward for this year, and I have to say that between this, Alien Covenant, and War for the Planet of the Apes, I could definitely see Fox like really killing it this year. So that's it. That is my review for Logan. Tell me what you guys thought in the comments below. Keep it spoiler-free because this is the spoiler-free video, though. Make sure to click that like button and the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Movie Nerd Review. Head on over to the website, movienerdreviews.com. That's it. I will see you guys next time.